Hello everyone, it's Brian, and today I'm going to try to answer the thread, the 10 records I listen to the most, and I will say at the outset that I found this to be extremely difficult. In fact, when I first saw the video circulating, I think it was started by The Long Cut. I watched a few others, and I thought there's no possible way I could ever do this because I felt that it would be very difficult to do this precisely. Now, I don't have a spreadsheet like Steve at All the World's a Stage. I don't know how many times I've listened to Dark Side of the Moon, where he does, which I find really interesting. So I had to it wasn't really a guess, but I had to really think about my collection. I was looking at shelves and deciding, yeah, that's one. So it may be wrong, and that's fine, but it might be close. And like other people have said, these might not necessarily be my favorite records, but they're the ones that I listen to the most. And I've tried to do the entire span of my life, which is also difficult. Some people have restricted it to the last few years, but I've tried to do the entire thing, and this is my best guess. Now, most of these, I think I ended up choosing 11, so I cheated a little bit. Most of these things I had on vinyl first, but one I had on CD first, and all of them I have copies on CD. So that sort of suggests to me that there's a reason I have two copies of them. I could easily do another video of 10 more that are probably bubbling under, but I probably won't do that. So that's enough of a preamble. And these are not in any order, so let's just start with this one. And this is Kate Bush, The Hounds of Love, from 1985. And it wasn't my first Kate Bush record, but it immediately grabbed me because although I liked the Dreaming very much, Dreaming is a close second, and other things before that, this one had a feel to it and a sound to it and a flow to it that some of the other records maybe didn't. There's the back. So I bought this shortly after it came out on the strength of having heard Cloud Busting and Running Up That Hill, which of course is now very popular because of Stranger Things. In fact, I liked it so much I kept talking about it. Someone bought me a copy for Christmas, not knowing I already had it, so I said, you should keep it and listen to it, and they did and quite liked it. So yeah, I just think this is really excellent. The side one has more, I don't know if you want to call them songs that stand alone. Side two has sort of a flow to it that's a bit progressive perhaps. But I think this is an outstanding record. And in this case, I would say it's her best record and the one I played the most. Number two is a compilation. So there are a couple of compilations. I didn't count how many in this list, which did surprise me. I was thinking I would end up choosing albums, but I ended up choosing a couple compilations, and including this one from the Smiths, Hatful of Hollow from '84. Now this covers some singles and B-sides and some Peel session stuff. There's the band there. Of course, I've mentioned the Smiths before in my channel. And this one is one of those records where I also maybe have never mentioned that in the early days of my vinyl collection, and I didn't even consider myself a collector then, it was the way you got music, it's the way you listen to music. I would often make a cassette copy of my records, so I'd play records once to make a copy and then listen to the cassette copy. So I have lots of records like that, including this one. This record has been played once. Many of my Smiths records have been played once. Well, and then I got CDs, so I have played them. I guess it's fair to say I played these subsequently when I was less fastidious about records. But this one I took in the car with me everywhere on cassette. I played it often. If I was looking for something to listen to and I was bored, this would be a record I would grab. And oddly, another compilation. So this is The Cure, Standing on a Beach. Of course, there's a companion CD called Staring at the Sea, which is this record plus a couple bonus tracks. And this came out in '86, so it covers up to Head on the Door. And if you were looking for a good place to start with The Cure in the latter part of the '80s, this would have been the thing to get. Truly great record. Starts with the early more gothic stuff like Killing an Arab, A Forest Primary, and then moving into, I guess you call it the more dancey stuff like The Walk and Love Cats, Caterpillar, In Between Days, Close to Me. But yeah, I mean, I would choose to listen to this over discrete Cure records at the time. I'd pick this one instead of whatever Cure record was out, Head on the Door or something. Here's a record from 1986, XTC Skylarking. I guess I have this sort of debate about which is the better record, Skylarking or English Settlement. And I think I come down on the side of Skylarking. So this is a case where this is probably my favorite XTC record, and I think their best record. And this, I guess, is well known for Dear God, although that track, as you may know, wasn't on all copies of it, but it's on this one. This is the Canadian pressing. This record contains my, well, I don't know if it's my favorite, but a top 5 XTC song for me, Sacrificial Bonfire. Maybe it's number 2. Sacrificial Bonfire is a great way to end this record. A Colin Moulding track. And this, of course, was produced by Todd Rundgren, and he determined the running order, so it feels like a concept album. The songs seem to flow together, especially it starts out with Summer's Cauldron and Grass. Those just sort of blend together. But there's so many great songs on here, and I think it's a really, really excellent record. And I recommend it especially if you're an XTC fan. This is a record I've mentioned before. Daniel Lanois, this is Acadie from 1989. Now, if you don't know him as a singer, you might know him as a producer because he produced Neil Young, Bob Dylan, U2 with Brian Eno. I'm going to forget somebody, Aaron Neville. I'm going to forget somebody famous, but there's a lot of people he's produced. This is a really sumptuous record. The moodiness of the maker, Still Water. He sometimes sings in French and English in the same song. It's just, it sounds great. The songs are really great. I just think it just works on so many levels, and the musicianship is fantastic. His voice is just incredible. And I think this is his best record too, without question. Here's a record I bought for a song that turned out not to be on the album. This is The Pogues, If I Should Fall From Grace with God. And I just watched Vinyl Richie's channel, and he chose this as one of his top 10. Now, the funny thing is, on the compact disc version, which of course I had to buy, it includes a track called South Australia, which isn't on the vinyl version. And the funny thing is, that's the first song I heard from this record, and I loved it so much I bought this. But it's not the best song on the record. In fact, I don't really care about South Australia anymore. The opening track, If I Should Fall From Grace with God, is just a fantastic song. Turkish Song of the Damned. There's so many great ones. The best known track here is probably Fairy Tale of New York with Kirsty MacColl. And the weird thing is, when I play this record, I think about painting, because in years past, when I was painting a room, like a living room, bedroom, I would put this CD on, usually, so I didn't have to flip it over, just to give me some energy, to sort of provide some encouragement. And so when I hear this, I think of painting, which I think is maybe not the right thing. But, okay, this is obviously an Irish band. Oddly, another compilation. Again, I'm surprised by how many compilations I had, but it kind of makes sense. I almost chose Echo and the Bunnymen songs to learn and sing, because that's one that would be close to the top 10 too. But this one is a record that I listen to, I would say, relentlessly, and that's Billy Bragg's Back to Basics. And just so you see something else here, here's my autograph copy that I got. I had it signed after a show once in Toronto. This contains the first, as it says here, Together at Last, the first 21 songs from the roots of urbane folk music. And yeah, that includes all the early stuff from the Between the Wars and Life's a Riot, that kind of thing. So it has all those early songs, which is just him in a room with an electric guitar. They sound amazing. Strange Things Happen. Which Side Are You On? The World Turned Upside Down. Between the Wars. I can't read them all, but A New England would be the one that most people know. It says here, Love Gets Dangerous. The Saturday Boy. Speaking of days of the week. This is great. Double record. This is from the UK. I don't think it was ever pressed in Canada, so I had to get an import copy. But really strong record. Really good collection. And bizarrely, yet another compilation of the first record I ever owned from this artist, and that's The Best of Leonard Cohen. This came out in 1975, but of course I didn't get it in 1975. I was way too young for that. But let me just tell you the story about the first copy of this record I had. This is a copy I got later in much better shape, but I'm not sure what the year was, but I was at a sort of clearinghouse sale or a garage sale from a radio station. And they were getting rid of some older records. And I found a copy of this record, and it had the call letters of the station written on it, had stickers and radio station stamps on it. Every single corner or every single side was taped with either masking tape or electrical tape. The inner sleeve was pretty much destroyed. The record itself was kind of scuffed and scratched and just looked awful, really dirty. But I bought it because I had heard maybe one of his songs before, and I played that record so much that I thought my dad was going to strangle me because I just played it relentlessly. This has up until this point, I think Cohen's most famous songs, like Suzanne, Sisters of Mercy, Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye, So Long Marianne, Who by Fire, Bird on the Wire, that kind of thing, Chelsea Hotel. And it's just a great. If you don't know Leonard Cohen and you want to know his early stuff, this would be the thing to get. All right, so from this is from 1990, and this is Lou Reed and John Cale's Songs for Drella, and incidentally, Steve Carlson included this one in his top 10 list, and I think it's justified. Look, there's a punch out here. I guess they couldn't sell them all back in the day, but of course, Lou Reed and John Cale from the Velvet Underground. And I would say that this is at least as good as anything the Velvet Underground did. It's Songs for Drella, which is for... You probably can't see, there's actually Andy... Well, maybe you can see it's Andy Warhol there. It's about Andy Warhol. It's for Andy Warhol after his death. This is my Canadian 1990 pressing. This is just such a thoughtful record. It's in many ways quiet and peaceful, but there are some songs that really are a little more aggressive. It's got this really great piece called A Dream, which harkens back to those John Cale spoken word pieces. But sad. It's a very sad record. Like, even the last song, Hello, It's Me, is so sad. Nobody But You. I mean, this is just it would be in my... If I made a list of top 10 records, this would be on it. No question. This is a record that I had on CD first. This is the CD copy because I think the original vinyl pressings of this were really difficult to get, but it was re-released later. This is the 2010 version of Bone of Drag. This particular edition has some bonus tracks on side 4. But if you were a Morrissey fan and wanted to get a record that had some of the singles, but also the non-album singles that came out between tracks, like After Viva Hate, between albums After Viva Hate, like Last of the Famous International Playboys and that kind of thing, this would be the thing you'd have to get. So my later pressing here has a giant poster, which I won't unfold, 2 pieces of vinyl, which are on this, I guess, teal color. So that is really great. Love that record, played it a lot. And lastly, this record may actually be possibly... It's a bold statement, but I won't say my favorite. I'll say top 5 favorite albums of all time, no question. And also his best record, and that's Deep from Peter Murphy, who is he still? I don't know if there's still a thing. Bauhaus, who was the lead singer of Bauhaus. This, as I recall, was his 3rd record from 1989. It says 1990 here, but I actually think it shipped in 89. This is truly a fantastic record. It's probably best known for the song Cuts You Up, but equally there's the line Between the Devil's Teeth, Marlene Dietrich's favorite poem, Strange Kind of Love, the first version of that song. The only place that the CD has an advantage is that the CD has a bonus of a reprise of the last track called Roll Call, which is great. But this is just, I think, an incredible record. I have 2 copies of this because there was a time whenever I saw this record in the bins in Toronto, I had one for years, and then I'd always look at the Peter Murphy section, and I used to see it for $40, then $50, $60, $80. I've seen it for $100, and I was in a store once, and they had a beautiful copy for $8. So even though I had it, I bought a second copy because the price on it was really great. But yeah, a favorite of mine, and one I've listened to so many times. On CD, I took it in my car whenever I was going somewhere. So anyway, those may change next week. Well, some of them won't change. Some of them are definites, but it's hard to know. But thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.